Thank you for joining us for this session of Prysm Systems Company Culture Clash. I am Jessica Smith, Global Marketing Operations Manager here at Prysm Systems. In early 2020, the remote workforce increased dramatically, and with it came the glamorization of work from home. So everybody started thinking about, doing all those home projects around the house. That way you make sure you end up with your Instagram worthy home. And you started spending more quality time with your coworkers, right? All the kids around the house. And you have thought you had the freedom to work from anywhere with the peaceful sounds of the world, just waking up while you're checking your emails from your front porch or your beach house. And everybody started making jokes, right? You had no makeup, you didn't wash your hair, you're not wearing pants, no problem. Nobody had any, issues with that. And while you're sitting there, you're hearing phrases like, hey, you're on mute, or I don't see your screen. And the funny guy in the group calls out, bingo, and everyone laughs and laughs. But, not everything about work from home is funny, like Wi-Fi bandwidth. If you have two adults and a student at home trying to work at the same time, forget about sharing your camera while presenting. And unfortunately for others, there's just not the ability to unplug. So, a lot of research has come out about, working from home now that the workforce has increased so much in the work from home area. And it is estimated that by 2028, that 73% of all departments are expected to have remote workers. But 70% of the managers who manage remote teams believe that maintaining company culture is still going to be a top concern. So I am now going to turn it over to Darren, who's going to walk us through the ways to avoid the company culture clash.
Thanks, Jess. Again, thank you guys for joining us. As Jess mentioned, I'm going to talk about this company culture clash and just really framed it up, the first part of it. A year and a half ago, 2 years ago, with COVID, all the employees were forced to work from home. The problem came is that they love it. Stats back it up, what Jessica was putting out there. And really the clash comes from the employers. So the employers want the employees back in the office. Employees, though, they love working from home because they don't have to get dressed for work. They don't have to deal with the commute. And most importantly, they feel they're as productive, if not more productive, than when they were in the office. So this, again, is where the clash comes in, because the employers want people to come into the office. And here's a little study by C.B. Richard Ellis that talks about 85% of companies polled expect employees to spend at least half the week in the office. So let's think about that a little bit. So how are they going to get the people in the office? That's the big challenge. But what we're talking about being productive. So the employees think they're as productive, but really where the employers have the big challenge is it's innovation. So this quote here, it's a little bit older. It's from Marissa Mayer, former CEO of Yahoo, but it's still applicable. People are more productive when they're alone, but they're more collaborative and innovative when they're together. And that's important because you think of how many people, how many companies, when you look at it, really tout their productivity, like on their website or their commercials. We're the most productive. They don't. They talk about being the most innovative. Innovation drives companies. So they know they need to be more innovative. So they need people in the office. So how can we help get people back in the office? Well, one of the things is making the office a better place to be. And so here's another quote from a real estate executive talking about you're going to be in the, you want to create more energizing and engaging experiences in the office. So that's a big part of this. And this is where Prysm can really help with that. So what I'm going to do is talk a little bit about some of the use cases that we've done with our customers to really help people feel engaged and feel more innovative by being in the office. That's another really important thing to remember, that not only do you want them to be more innovative, you want them to feel as if they're really being contributors. So those things combined are what we're really working on with some of our customers. So this first one, we're talking about innovation, how key innovation is. So for a lot of our customers, innovation centers are the hub of what they're doing. So you'll see here, this is a great way to leverage a large digital canvas. And this is something that you can only do in the office. You look at this is a 190-inch display, high resolution, and you look at all the different content up here. So now when people are working together to try and innovate and solve a big problem, we can sit here, we can watch a video. We're able to annotate on this. Now we're able to quickly jump to a rendering. Do the same thing here. So as you can see, with all of this different content, we've got the ability to bounce around very easily and share ideas, engage with one another, and really come to conclusion. We've got a whiteboard here, and now we're able to keep track of our notes. So this is an important way to get people to come in the office, because this is something that can't be done remotely. We'll talk a little bit about software and how you can connect with people outside the office, but really we want to drive people to the office. And this is the large digital canvas that really helps lead to innovation. Another use case that we have a lot of success with our customers in terms of really creating an experience in the office is the brand experience. So it could be an EBC, an executive briefing center, or a customer experience center. Because brand is so integral to what companies do. They spend millions of dollars on their brand. So when they're having a big pitch, they want people in their office. They want the employees in the office because they know they're going to give a better presentation. You don't want people just to hear about your brand or see your brand. You want them to experience it. You want them to come up and interact with it. You know, one of the cool things with what we do, creating these experiences, is some of our customers actually talk about our technology when they have their customers in. And the reason that they do that is this is proprietary technology, and it's custom or purpose built for high impact presentations. So they'll come, they'll bring their customers in because this is a differentiator. This isn't LCD, this isn't LED, this is LPD. Like I said, proprietary technology, Roger's going to talk a little bit more in depth about, but LCD, as you know, it wasn't purpose-built to be large format displays. It's smaller displays stitched together. LED wasn't meant to be interacted with at close distances. LPD is. So that's why our customers think that it's important to tell their customers about our technology, because it makes them appear more innovative. I'll show you a quote from one of our customers that kind of helps support that. Under Armour, who's a customer of ours and has their LPD technology, says, without exception, everyone who sees the wall is amazed. The impact is immediate and dramatic. The impact is immediate and dramatic. That's a very core tenet to their brand. They have some of the world's best athletes coming into their office that they're trying to get to be spokespeople for their brand, and they're using our wall, and they tell people about our technology. So it's a very cool part of how you get people into the office, leveraging this technology to really get a brand experience. Another really cool use case that we came across with one of our customers who leveraged Prysm application suite and LPD for global market research, but then found out training is a great use case. So getting people into the office, and what they were telling us is the multimodality of it. You can have video, you can have a browser, you can have a whiteboard. So people can now interact with content. And what they were telling us, we didn't even know this, they helped us understand this, is from a training perspective, engaging that third sense of touch. Not only do you see the content, you hear about the content, now you interact with it. So now you're using 60% of your senses instead of 40%. Recall and retention goes through the roof. That's the key tenet of training, recall and retention. And leveraging Prysm, both the software and the display, they've been able to do a much more effective job of training. So again, this is a good way to get people to come in the office. Some of this stuff can be remote, but the core tenet of it is get them in there, have some training there, and then let them do continuing education on their own remote. Another one is collaboration. You hear a lot about collaboration. We've always been a big supporter of collaboration, both from our walls and our software. But collaboration, again, you can do some of this remotely, but having those high impact engagements in your office, like an empathy mapping session, and what our customers tell us, engaging their employees and being able to bring them in and have them interact with content. Again, that interacting with content is integral. Jess was talking about culture and how it's impacting psyche. Being able to interact, it's that human interaction and working around content instead of just voice and video. Being able to do this really helps people helps them solve bigger problems using this technology in the office. A couple more here and then I'll turn it over. But dashboards, when you're pitching to executives and you're talking about the health of the company, being able to have dynamic content, live feeds. So instead of pitching remotely, and you're probably going to put these numbers into a deck, and if somebody asks you, hey, how did you get these numbers? Being able to go in there and quickly drill down instead of saying, I'll get back to you and bring this information later, I can drill right into that information in real time. This is important. Again, it's not wasting time. You need to be able to deliver those key findings in terms of the content right from the wall. And the last one, we've got a number of customers that have operation centers. Obviously, needing to be in the office and being able to look at real-time data, make decisions on the fly, being able to bring in live feeds from remote locations, and being able to map in real time what's going on in different locations, being able to make these kind of connections being in the office. Again, there's some ways to connect out of the office, but we all know in operation centers, when things are happening, we need to be there, we need to be together, making decisions as a group. So that's a quick overview of some of the different use cases that Prysm has helped their customers get people into the office, excel, and really enjoy the technology. So before I turn it over to Roger, I think, Jess, we're going to do a quick poll question.
Yep. So this question is, are you familiar with what makes LPD different from LED or LCD? So we'll give participants just a few moments to answer this, and then we'll turn it over to Roger. Okay. Couple more coming in. All right, so I'm going to share the results now with everyone. All right, Roger, can you see that?
Yeah, I see we have a few LPD masters that we'd like to hire. You know, we have our Bangalore office, so please apply. That's great. Good to see that, actually. And a few that would like to know more. So yeah, thank you. Thank you for being and listening to our webinar today. I will definitely cover the attributes of what makes LPD so special in terms of fitting the solution that Darren talked about. First and foremost, the screen behind me comes in 3 sizes, 135-inch as the screen behind Ganesh in Bangalore, in our Bangalore office, the 190-inch behind me, and there's a 225-inch on the side here. So we sell these 3 sizes particularly for business-to-business solution, and they fit from floor to ceiling height. They're made to be to fit into 8-foot the standard ceiling height. But most importantly, they start at the desktop and move up. And the reason is to do mirroring. Sometimes you want to do video conferencing, looking people across the pond, sitting across with video. You want to do presentation, or you want to do annotation Because guess what? This screen behind me, as Darren has showed, is fully interactive. It's a giant iPad. So this is an example of me doing a presentation for you on this giant iPad. It's a JPEG file, but I'm interacting with it. Just to make a story, I'll tell you about LPD. So it could be any different type of discussion. What's important about this and why we are stressing this culture change is, as you can see, the lights are on in this room, as well as in Ganesh's case. This is not a projector. It's literally a giant TV screen that's also touch interactive. And the reason is we believe that collaborating with people, you want to look people in the eye, you want to be able to ideate, you want to be able to annotate, and clearly you cannot do this with a projector. Same thing with an LCD. It's a little bit too small to spread out and do what we call the visual workplace from different content and so on, like Darren talked about. So let me talk a little bit about what makes LPD, the attributes of LPD so special. First and foremost is the bezel challenge. If you were to build a large TV screen today, you can go buy multiple LCDs and stitch them together. The impact of this is you would see that you would create what we call the bezels, right? You can see this black lines between the content. You would lose content. There's mismatch between the screen. It's not uniform, etc. So that's one reason why LPD is special. And as you can see here, the picture is completely seamless. There's no seams in the video. Another very important aspect here, and I like to stress this, LPD is a super high resolution display. It's not like the LED you see on the road as a signage that are very coarse, in the tens of millimeters. It's made to be high resolution. The 190 inch behind me is a 6K resolution by 2K. But another very important feature is the way LPD works, a little bit about the technology. We actually print phosphor, red, green, blue phosphor as stripes, as you can see in the picture here. And it's continuous. And by being continuous, there's really not a physical pixel in the vertical dimension. So there's no grid, if you will. So close up, when I look at it close up, it looks very natural to the eye. It literally looks like a poster. And that's the beauty of it, is you can work on the screen close up and do all what you like to do, or be far away, that's fine as well. But the idea here is to invite people back to the office to ideate, to work on the screen, and do collaboration and brainstorming. Another very important attribute is the contrast ratio. When we turn the laser off, it's completely dark. You would appreciate this in a complete dark room. There's literally no light coming out of the screen at the zero black level. So you could actually, while you could ideate, you could watch movies or very detailed information on the screen under very high, like X-rays or, for medical applications or things like that. So, and that's only possible because we have very good control of the laser power as it's scanning behind the phosphor panel. Color gamut is super important. This is a important metric. We cover Rec 709 more than 100%, and we have very good control of what we call the bit depth. So we have 10-bit control, and here again we could see very details in movies, or any other CAD modeling if that's the application. Now, this is another very important feature or attribute of LPD. Again, this is not a projector. The image is formed right on the panel. And as a result, the light is emitted equally in all angles. So you could be sitting at any place in the room, whether I'm sitting at this angle or face on or at the other angle, there's no change in brightness with viewing angle. And that gives you that immersive feeling. Again, inviting people to the office to ideate, to share. Everybody wants to get a good view of what's going on. In other technologies like LCD, which is more common, there's something called contrast inversion. As you change angle, what's black becomes white and what's white becomes black. So there's some change in color versus viewing angle, which does not exist in the case of LPD. That's what the kind of the cartoon that's illustrating that point. Again, the high resolution content is possible only with LPD technology. The image you're seeing now a little bit saturated. We should tune the exposure, but it's a lot crisper here. We should work on this in the future. One thing that's very important is the power consumption. So being eco-friendly is super important. And because we are modulating the laser power to produce an image, we actually do not consume as much power as, say, a projector where the light is always on, or an LCD always backlight is on. So by modulating the power, the laser power to form an image, you save a lot of power. In addition, the screen that I'm touching here is completely cool to the touch. It doesn't emit any heat, which is notorious for other display technologies. If you are standing in front of it for a long duration, either again, the pixelation will bother your eyes, or the heat, or whatever. But this is a very cool technology, or cool to the touch technology, because of the low power. In addition to this, considerations are for HVAC, right? AC, air conditioning units. So because the technology does not consume much power, you don't need to change anything in the room deploying such large screens, which is often the time when you want to go that big, you have to have consideration for cooling, because the big screens do emit a lot of power, heat from drawing power. Another attribute for LPD, it's an environmentally friendly technology. I know now that today's are very important for climate and so on. We do not consume any hazardous material building the technology. It's all the regular UV curing and so on that does not consume water or high energy or again dump hazardous waste. It's a very green technology. In fact, the whole panel behind me, the whole technology is OSHA certified, meaning not only it consumes less power, but also as a whole life cycle, we could recycle the whole technology and not worry about it. It's not like batteries or cadmium or things like that. Now I want to move on to something really, really special. And that is, most people ask, how do you move this 190-inch screen or 225-inch or 135-inch into my building or office? And one of the key things we worked on is, and it's super important, I will have to emphasize it, is the fact that the screen behind me is actually rolled when it's shipped. So it can actually enter an elevator or an escalator or what have you. And that's super important. We worked on this many years to perfect the rollability of the polymer that actually makes the light. So it's actually a polymer that's printed with the RGB, red, green, blue phosphors, but it's actually rolled up before it's shipped. Now, once it ships and it comes to the venue, it's tensioned. And that's why it's rigid to the touch. It's not like you think it's going to be flimsy, because we tensioned the whole panel and it's very nice and sturdy. If this were to be glass, as an example, the weight would be 10 times or more what I'm showing you here. And the other attribute is to be lightweight as well. So these are very important considerations when you are going with very large format displays. Now, behind the screen, we have what we call the light engines. The light engines are what make the image, our raster scanning laser beams behind the phosphor screen to make the image. The bigger the image, or the display size, the more light engines you need. In the 190-inch behind me, we have 9 light engines by 4, like a matrix. Therefore, 36 light engines are used. In the screen that Ganesh has in Bangalore, it's a 135, and it's made out of a 6 by 4, hence 24 light engines behind the screens. Now, everything, once installed, is serviceable on premises. This is another important attribute. You don't want to ever move the display out. So if something were to happen, the screen pops up and you replace the light engine and close it back in. And that's all calibrated within, that's this whole operation. So we talked on this. This is more on the application. Darren talked about retail. Collaboration is really the main thrust of the return to the office. As you can see, people want to talk to each other, want to look each other in the eye, have good moments of brainstorming, and tell a story either to customers and so on. And that's why we are pitching this as the time to come back to the office. Probably a year or two ago, it was more like huddle rooms, small displays were fine. But now people want to, invite more people to ideate and have more space. And what other than this large format display makes this experience a lot more enjoyable. Again, very happy customers. Darren touched on this. We have here kind of a comparison table comparing, well, what if I wanted to do this with LCD or LED? I covered most of these attributes. We can discuss them in more detail. I won't go through them here. But the point here is that we sell 3 sizes, as the slide says 190, but we do sell 135, 190, and 225-inch. Those are standard sizes. We get questions, can you do custom sizes? Yes, we can, but now we're standardizing on these 3 office business-to-business solutions. I think that's the end. And I'll turn it over to Ganesh and Bangalore. Darren?
Jess, are we going to do another poll question here?
Yeah, we'll go ahead and throw another one in here. So the question is, what presentation software does your company use for their meetings? So we have video conferencing, content collaboration, workflow management, something else you're not sure, or just none of them. Give it another few seconds for people to respond. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and end the poll and let's share those results. So, Ganesh, you see them. What do you have to say about that?
Yeah, thank you, Jess, Roger, and Darren. Yeah, it's quite impressive. So lots of people are using video conferencing platform. Yeah, so I will cover it in my session. Thank you, Jess, for this. Yeah, good insight. Thank you, everyone. My name is Ganesh Kumar, and I head the sales operations for India and APAC. Before I move ahead in this session, let me give a quick recap on the points which Jessica and Darren touched upon during the start of this webinar, the company culture clash, which is all about the trends on how the future workplace is shaping up. One is the hybrid workplace, smaller group come to office, or working remotely, or there is a scheduled roster to come to office. On the other hand, the employers feel the employees are productive while working in silos, but they're not collaborating and they're not part of innovation. So there is a challenge over there. The last bit is people are comfortable working from home, specific to employees. They're not keen to come to office unless it is engaging and energizing. So there's a gap between the employer and employees, which we have to figure out. Followed by Roger. Roger touched on the hardware capabilities of Prysm Systems laser phosphor display, the LPD. Hope every one of us will agree, without a strong futuristic software solution at the back end, we will not be able to fulfill the expectation of customers' use case. Yeah, in this case, the solution should be engaging, collaborating, and it should pull the employees back to office, right? So, and for the remote participants, we should have the right tool to enable them to collaborate. So the problem statement. We and our team has to work real time, wherever we are. It can be an in-room or a remote participant. Okay. And we should have data persistency seamless across all enterprise platforms, right? Okay. So it is very important to engage with them, okay, and give the right, the presentation should move into a discussion mode. And having said that, there are third-party video conferencing platforms and system integration. System tools that has to be sorted. Okay. Also, we should be able to access the content from anywhere, anytime, and with any device. It can be a laptop or from a mobile or from any other collaborating tool. So we have to empower our remote participants. So I'm happy to present the Prysm application suite, which empowers our customer to access from anywhere within the room or as a remote participant. In this case, I'm in Bangalore. I'm using the Prysm application suite through my laptop. And you can see real time and collaborating with the Millipita's wall, which is a 190-inch where Darren and Roger are presenting. Okay. So the NPD is the hub, and the remote participant, we can name it as the spoke. So that should be a tool which can connect and enable the remote participant to collaborate and contribute. So the Prysm application suite fits into this space where it empowers the remote participants as well as the in-room participant with the large real estate of the LPD. So having said that, all enterprise have their own protocol with respect to the video conferencing platform, or they use chat platforms. They have open APIs like the Jisoo, the Slack. So we have to counter this. So Prysm application suite is embedded with a new feature called the Launch Plus, which gives a native connectivity to all the VC platforms. It can be a Teams, or it can be Zoom, or a Skype for Business, or a Blue Jeans. It's completely depends upon what the enterprise use, each and every enterprise use. So you get the democracy to, the liberty to access to either take a Zoom call or a Teams call on a go. So it gives a complete scalability for the customers to really work on different platforms, different VC platforms. So in a nutshell, I would like to conclude the world-class single panel display is backed up with the technology agnostic software, which gives a foolproof solution based on customer use case. In this case, we fix the hybrid workplace problem statement. And with the large canvas, the in-room participants have a lots of content to play with it. Multiple contents can be brought in on a go. We have sticky notes. Okay. So the in-room participant is comfortable in using the large, real estate, which we provide. For the employees who are working from office, they can engage. Okay. So I typed in a sticky note to Darren and Jessica. Okay. So you can contribute. It's engaging. So that's where Prysm Systems plays a very important role in creating a innovative and collaborative solution, and which can really give a right kind of engagement without any compromise. Thank you, and over to you, Jessica.
So before I open it up for Q&As, Darren, you have anything to add?
Yeah, real quick. Thank you, Ganesh. Ganesh tied things up really nicely because one of the things we started with is how do we help with the company culture clash? And he mentioned something very important, the hub and spoke, because we started out and we were talking about the hub, right? And so we've got a number of customers that what they're doing from the pandemic, they're closing down smaller regional offices. And then what they're doing is reinvesting that money into hubs that they're calling centers of excellence. A good example of this is I work in Midwest, and where I'm at, this company's shutting down the office there, but then they're putting it into Chicago. So these people are working from home in Indianapolis, but then in Chicago, when they have big, high impact engagements, they go up to Chicago. And so what this company, our client, is doing, they're using LPD to kind of be the anchor in their main locations in New York and Chicago and Houston and Dallas and San Francisco and North America there. But then the connective tissue is the software that Ganesh was talking about is being able to still stay connected. So people will come into the office, and as you can see, the LPD, but then people could be at the airport working on an iPad and being able to mirror with the hub. They could be from a workstation at a home office and still be connected. They could be at a co-op working space and still be connected. So what it does, this hub and spoke model, and that's where Prysm Systems really helps out. Again, the LPD makes a great anchor to get people into the office and have high impact engagements, collaboration sessions, customer engagements, but still being able to bring people in remotely through our Prysm application suite software. So that's really kind of what we were trying to say today is there's a problem out there with this culture clash, but we really think Prysm Systems has some solutions to help you guys. So that's really, I think, all we had to say, Jess. I don't think I have anything more. Do we want to go to some questions?
Yeah. So we had a few questions come in. So if anybody else has any questions, please go ahead and start adding them in now, and we'll try to get them addressed before the end. So we have this one I think is going to go for Roger, and it's with a display so large, how can it enter into an office, and is it modular?
Yeah, so again, the way it enters into the office, the screen itself is rolled up after it's manufactured, and it sits on a canister, kind of a platform, and that is rolled into, of course, it's protected during shipping, but then it's rolled into any venue. The screen itself, when it's rolled up, it's about 40-inch in diameter. So there hasn't been any issues moving a screen as big as 190 or 225 because of the fact that it's rolled up. And behind the screens, what's mounted are the light engines, and those come in boxes as well. So the screen itself, once it comes from different places, actually comes in boxes, and it's assembled on premises. So there's no issue moving a screen this size into an office because it does come in parts and it's put together into the office.
Okay. So another one on the LPD, this person asks, are the light engines just projectors, and how many are in each of the various models?
Yeah, so the light engines are literally scanning a laser beam, a kind of a raster scan to form an image. And the laser beams are modulated according to the image content. And so those are kind of a light engine that sit behind the screen. In the 190-inch case, it's a 9x4 or 36 light engines. In the case of the 135-inch, it's 6x4, 24 light engines. And in the case of a 225-inch screen, it's a 9x4, 11x4, which is 44 light engines. So as the screen gets bigger or smaller, the number of light engines needed change. But what stays as a constant, and that's the beauty of it, is the the resolution is a constant across these different display sizes. The uniformity is a constant. The brightness is a constant. Because basically, as the screen gets bigger, we add more light engines or smaller. So So those other parameters or attributes do not change.
Okay. I'm going to paraphrase this question that came in. They said, basically, since trade shows are few and far between now, do we display at trade shows, or are there any demo centers?
Yeah, so we have a few demo centers there, and you can share with the team.
Yep, current demo centers, I know in North America, we've got in San Jose, California, we've got in Chicago, we're finalizing in New York, and then globally, I know we have in London, and then we've got in Bangalore, and I heard we just got another. Do you have another one, Ganesh?
We have in Mumbai and shortly coming in Delhi as well.
Okay.
Yeah. And even in Middle East, we have in Dubai, Riyadh.
Yeah. Hey, Jess, I saw a question pop up about lag.
Yeah.
I'd like to take that real quick. Somebody made a comment saying when I would move something from the screen, my video would hear the lag on the content share. That's a Zoom thing. So ours is, if we were collaborating and this was just Prysm application suite to Prysm application suite, you'd see no lag. So one of the things, and I'm happy to offer this up myself, or Ganesh would be happy to do a demo for you. We've got a demo license that we can make available so you can see the real-time interactivity on this. But I did see that pop up as a question, and I'm not trying to duck that. It's a Zoom thing, because again, this is going through Zoom servers, so that's a content share. This isn't machine to machine. This is an application suite to application suite. It's going through Zoom. So I just wanted to clear that up, but it was a fair question.
Yeah, Jess, I would like to check on one question. Okay, can we bring applications like Power BI or Mural for boardroom and design thinking use cases? Of course, yeah. So all third-party applications can be natively brought in through our Launch Plus feature. So it's quite possible. We are ahead of the curve now. Yeah.
Okay. Well, since you guys were reading them, any other ones stand out to you? I know one of the questions came in, Roger, about asking about, since you showed the chart up there with the check marks of comparing LED and LCD and LPD, do we have any other panels that are not LPD?
I think we have LCD, where our LPD is our primary. LCD, we have 85-inch, but really our primary is LPD.
Do you have any government applications?
Yes, from both software and hardware, turnkey. And in the government applications, we have a couple versions. We have what we call the Prysm hosted cloud, which is a public cloud. Then we have a CHC, which is a customer hosted cloud. The customer hosted cloud is more like people would consider an on-prem version. So we've got government installations, military installations, DoD installations. So yes, we do that, and we have no problem with that.
Okay.
Hey, just one other quick one I saw.
Yeah.
With One Prysm installed in my office conference room, what should other participants have to join and collaborate? That's a great question. Ganesh kind of touched on it. As long as they can get to the internet, they could use a laptop, they could use an iPad, they could use an iPhone. We've got guest licenses, so it could be almost like a Zoom or a Teams, where if you've got your application suite and you have a license, you can invite somebody to join you and get them a license. And as long as they can get to the internet, app.prysm.com, they would be able to join that session and fully participate and interact, irrespective of where they are or what type of device they have.
What is the energy consumption of the 190-inch screen?
It's about 1600 watts. So, yeah.
All right. I liked our comparison that, what is it, less than a coffee maker in a hotel room?
Well, it would run on a, regular circuit breaker, so it's 20 amp, 30 amp, depending if it's 220 volt or 110 volt. We haven't seen any problem powering it up in most venues.
All right. Usually on LED screens, you can experience a burnout. So how is that addressed in your LPD technology?
Yeah, that's a great question. So just as a comment, we've been in the business of selling LPD. This is our second generation for over 15 years. We have never, ever had what people say phosphor burn-in or screen burn-in or screen retention. And the reason is the physics of how it works. Being cool to the touch, there's not much energy that's being generated at the screen level. So it's basically has very, very long life. There's no concept of color change that you may see in an LED display or brightness change that you may see in an LED display. Keeping in mind in LED, you have a sheer number of light emitting diodes. You have millions or something like that, and that usually means the fit rate is going to be also very high, the failure rate. In our case, the phosphor itself is literally printed continuously, and it's very stable and has been stable, and that's kind of our secret sauce. We have developed this kind of the chemistry of the phosphor to be very resilient to temperature and humidity and light. So we don't have that concept of screen burn-in whatsoever.
Jess, there are questions on the price points on the subscription model. The participants can scan the QR code after this webinar, okay, and reach out to us, and we can take it offline. Yeah.
I love that you guys as panelists are able to see the questions and are making my job easy, especially since it's 2:52 a.m. here where I am in the East Coast of the United States. So scrolling through the questions, you answered that one.
One quick thing.
Yeah, what other ones did you guys say?
I see one. How is Prysm different than a system with data stored on a cloud and multiple people are accessing it? What Prysm application suite really is, it's a visual project repository. So you think of individual asset repositories where people can pull up stuff and they can access it. What we're doing, you can pull all of those pieces of content up, assemble them, and interact with them. So that's how it's primarily different. Think of it as a big digital corkboard that now you can start to assemble information, visualize it, interact with it, as opposed to doing an individual asset at a time. So that's the primary difference. I hope I'm understanding your question and answering that, but that's the way I take it. Because there are a lot of systems out there that you can store data on and multiple people can access it. But what we're doing is allowing people to collectively access it, assemble it, visualize it, and interact with it.
All right. I think I was going to wrap up the questions, but if you guys, does it look like the other ones that came in, you guys had already answered through other questions that came in?
Yeah. And I think, Jess, something we can do, again, I know it's getting late for you, and we could probably go through these and respond to some of these individuals with specific questions, because some were highly specific that I think Ganesh and his team could probably get back to within the next day or so.
Okay, fantastic. So thank you again, everybody, for joining us. I do encourage you to follow us on LinkedIn for current news. We have a couple of press releases that are going to be coming out soon. Visit our website. You can schedule a demo with us at any of the locations that our team mentioned. And, again, this presentation has been recorded, so we're going to go ahead and post it on our YouTube channel. You should probably see that by the end of this week. I'm hoping sometime on Friday. So thank you, Roger, Darren, and Ganesh for joining us. This has been a great webinar. Please contact anybody on our team. All right.
Thanks, Jessica. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks,
Thank you.
guys.